What's your name and where you from?
My name's Martin and I'm from Leicester.
Leicester. Talk to me about what life was like growing up.
Yeah, it was good. My parents were really Christian, really good, like good people, good humble, what's the word? Yeah, meek people, I would say. Very shy, I had quite a sheltered upbringing, but it was like also kind of amazing, I guess, growing up in church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you say you were shy?
I think my parents had this thing where they never wanted to be like big characters. They were always like on the ground and helping and getting stuck in, and they didn't ever want to be the main character, which I think was weird for me growing up because I wanted to be in music and be like a frontman and a rock star and stuff. And I think, yeah, it was a weird thing growing up in that environment.
Would you say that made it hard for you to express yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Like when I was quite like a flamboyant kid. I remember even when I was really young, I would love wearing like pink, and like we'd go to like girls' shops like with my mum and my sister, and I'd like want to wear those clothes, which is weird, you know. It's not transpired that that's how I am really as an adult, but I remember as a kid a lot of those things being really complicated with my parents through the lens of sort of Christianity and like guys being guys, girls being girls, and yeah, it was a weird one.
Yeah. How would you say that impacted you as you grew older?
I think a lot of guilt and shame, which is a kind of classic for Christian kids. I think my sister had a similar thing, and you end up leaving home and being kind of ultra naughty, doing all sorts of madness. But yeah, I think I struggled a lot, especially in my 20s, with addiction, with various things. But yeah, now I'm getting older, I think I'm kind of weirdly like finding my way back to where I was when I was a kid, and like making peace with it now.
Yeah. Would you be open to talking about what that addiction was?
Few things. I think, you know, I was like very promiscuous in my early 20s. I drank a lot for a few years, and it would often be like all of these things would happen in chapters, and I would like cut off doing one thing because I knew that it was bad, and I'd sort of swap in something else. It's like there always had to be something extreme going on in my life. Yeah, I'm still like finding my way with it, but like learning a lot more about it.
Yeah. What would you say led you to it?
Extreme stuff.
As in the addiction more, I would say.
The addiction,
yeah.
I think guilt and shame. I think those are two like really big drivers of addiction, and like a sort of, it's like a lens of which you see the world, and like you sort of perform this role of like a good person or whatever that is, and it's kind of like a mask, and you get tired of it and you want to escape it. And at least for me, I think especially in music, it's been a means of escape when I'm not physically able to escape. So I will mentally escape. If I'm working and I'm on tour and I can't like get out of a situation, it would be a way to sort of one step remove myself from the situation while still being in it. Yeah.
Have you been able to figure out why you were feeling so much guilt and shame?
I think being introduced to God at like such a young age, like this idea of this big omnipotent judging figure, while you're still like figuring things out, especially when you're like 13, 14 as a guy in your bedroom. There's a lot of sort of complicated stuff that goes on with that. I think, yeah, like a sense of sort of like privacy and like knowing that you have, that you're safe, like on your own. I feel like I always felt like I was being watched, and maybe there's a degree of like paranoia in that from like quite a young age as well. There was also other circumstantial things that happened when I was growing up, like with my mum and dad, and just life, like grief. And I think the combination of a lot of it amounted to that. And I don't blame anyone now. I feel like really calm about it. I know my parents were only doing their best. I think everyone's only ever doing their best.
Did you ever feel like you were letting them down maybe you just weren't hitting the expectations that they probably had of you at the time?
Yeah, I think because my parents believe that God is the answer, I think, I mean, ultimately, like, the belief in Christianity is like, if you believe in God, you say the prayer and you're in and you're saved and you're not going to go to hell. So I think even though it wasn't ever really said explicitly, it was kind of like, no matter what I do, unless I subscribe to that idea, I'm not enough. Not just for my parents, you know, I know my parents love me, but for God and when I die, and I think they were clearly so desperate for me to believe that it did always feel like that a little bit. It's not really their fault, but yeah, I think you can inherit that. I've been desperate to kind of prove outside of like being religious that I am like a good person in my own way, you know?
Yeah. Would you say that you've struggled to be satisfied with who you are and feel enough?
Yeah. I think I've always struggled feeling like I'm doing enough and being enough. I think that is probably the core driver in my life. Like, it's kind of what motivates me to do anything, really, is to just sort of like prove that I am externally. Yeah. But I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit more about the addiction and the impact it had on you.
I think addiction's been like around in my life. Like, it's always hovered around me, even if it hasn't been me myself. It's been people that I've hung out with, or it's around a lot. I think, especially in the music industry, that it's full of people that are incredibly sensitive and vulnerable, and that's kind of their superpower. But I think often those are the people that struggle with it the most. So yeah, I'm still kind of learning more about it, to be honest, and how to like show up for people that are going through that in an authentic way that doesn't feel like I'm judging them or forcing them to change, but also holds them to account at the same time. I think it's a really fine balance to have, being like kind but firm. Yeah.
At what point in your life did you start to realize that something needed to change and you went on that journey of healing?
I was in a relationship for like 6 years, and I think halfway through that relationship, it had already been the longest relationship I'd ever been in. It became really apparent that there were things that I needed to work on, and I started going to therapy. I've had a few therapists since. I've got a therapist now he's a somatic therapist, which means from the body, and I found that a really amazing thing, trying not to sort of talk about my emotions as like abstract thoughts in my head, but more just experience them as physical sensations in the body. And I think I'm sort of learning to tap into like the wisdom that's already in your body, and like, you know, if your heart rate's up, what does that mean? Like, tap into it and listen to it. And whenever I have any aches and pains, I'm trying to like understand like where that's coming from. That's been amazing for me. I mean, yeah, that was a journey that only really started because I really cared about someone, and I didn't want to lose them. And I think that was the driver.
What is one thing that you realized about yourself that you now gone on the journey to change?
I think performing a role, I think for me the role has always been like a supportive role, where I think my big driver, I think, in my life has been, but I'm not okay unless everyone around me is okay. That's probably the crux of it. So I think for a lot of my life I've like lived in a really high anxious state, monitoring people's emotions around me and sort of adjusting my behaviour to that, which has meant that it's been hard for me to ever be authentic, really, because whoever I'm around, I'm just sort of like moulding and becoming whatever they feel is the most sort of palatable version of me. It's kind of a really extreme version of people pleasing, I would say, where I'm just changing to whoever's around me. So I think the main thing for me is just working on being a little bit more consistent and true to who I actually am all the time, rather than being so keen to change and adapt in my environments. Yeah.
Sounds like that can be very overwhelming, just having so much focus on other people instead of, spending more time on yourself.
Yeah, I think it's funny because it's so inbuilt in me, and it's something I think about a lot nowadays, where I think often like your greatest weakness is also your greatest strength. Like I think being so plugged into how other people feel, especially in what I do, like I'm a songwriter and I'm in music as well, like in that sort of setting, it's really served me well, because I think it disarms people when you can get on a level with them and it makes them feel safe and they can open up, and I think you can make amazing art with that kind of skill set. So I think it's been a bit of a superpower and it's served me a lot in my life, but I think I'm getting to a point now where I'm trying to move beyond that and see what else is possible.
What are some of the struggles you still deal with today?
I get burnt out all the time. I think I'm so eager to please. I mean, like my manager, I have a label now, which they're great. I think whenever there are people that are asking anything of me, I struggle to say no. It's kind of a classic Christian problem, that it's just like wanting to help, but at all costs. And I'll burn out very regularly. Still learning to be a little bit firmer and know, like what I need.
Yeah. Sounds like some of the Christian values that you learnt from home are still with you.
Oh, for
Did you
sure.
say that?
Yeah, they'll be with me forever, I think. I think they'll be with me forever. I had a friend actually, he's an alcoholic, and he said this advice with me that has really stuck. He said, being an alcoholic is like being on an escalator and you're walking up the escalator, but the escalator's going down. And as long as you're walking and you're doing the work, you'll stay in the same place. It was like, sometimes you might even have the energy and you get a little bit up the escalator, but the minute you stop doing the work and the minute you relax and you get too comfortable, you slip down. And that's how I feel, I think, about all of the struggles in my life. It's like, it's work, and you have to just keep showing up and keep trying to stay still.
Yeah. What does showing up and trying look like for you?
I try and do therapy as much as I can. I think I've been journaling a lot this year. Nothing revolutionary or sexy really, it's just all the like classic advice you get. Drink water, eat well, move your body, talk to friends, don't isolate yourself. All the boring stuff that you read about and think won't make a difference is amazing.